Florida was always a dream, a sun-drenched promise of palm trees, ocean breezes, and homes built on hope. But right now, that dream is trembling. Beneath the blue skies and pastel neighborhoods, a quiet storm is forming, not one born of wind or rain, but of paper, politics, and policy. The state that once symbolized the American escape is now at the mercy of a federal freeze, and every brick, every mortgage, and every promise is starting to crack. The moment the government shut down, Florida felt it deeper than anyone else. Because here, real estate isn't just another market, it's the heart that keeps the entire state alive. Nearly a quarter of Florida's entire economy breathes through the housing sector. That means when home sales stop, paychecks vanish, construction stalls, and dreams collapse. What's happening now isn't just a bureaucratic pause. It's a tremor shaking one of the largest real estate engines in America. But to really understand this fallout, you have to step inside the story of how everything connects, how a program meant to protect people from floods suddenly became a financial flood itself. The National Flood Insurance Program, known as NFIP, is supposed to be a shield protecting more than 1.5 million Floridian homeowners from the financial ruin of flooding. But when the federal shutdown began, that shield froze in place. No renewals, no new policies, just silence. And silence, in a state surrounded by water, is deadly. Imagine this. Roughly 150,000 flood insurance policies in Florida expire every single month. Usually there's a 30-day grace period to renew them. But when the government stops, the countdown doesn't. Every day that passes without Congress acting means more homes slipping into uninsured limbo, and hurricane season doesn't wait for Washington to reopen. Thousands of Floridians are holding expired policies in their hands, hoping no storm decides to test their luck. And here's the cruel twist: many of those homes can't even be sold. Lenders won't finalize sales in high-risk flood zones without active insurance. So, as FEMA's NFIP sits frozen, thousands of real estate deals are now stuck in limbo. People who were days away from moving into their first home are now living out of boxes, staring at stalled contracts and fading hopes. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac tried to soften the blow by temporarily relaxing their insurance requirements. But that only helps when the existing policy can still be transferred. For new homes, fresh builds with no prior policy, the door is locked until Washington reopens it. Entire communities of brand new houses sit empty, sparkling under the Florida sun, but untouchable, unsellable, uninsured. It's a haunting contrast. Rows of dream homes standing still, while real families wait for permission to move forward. The American dream, frozen not by money, but by paperwork. And just when it seemed Florida's builders were finding their rhythm again, the freeze struck them too. Home construction had finally begun to rebound after the chaos of pandemic shortages. Holt Group even reported rising new orders this summer, a hopeful sign that buyers were returning. But now, that fragile progress is being strangled by red tape. Why? Because building a home in Florida often requires federal permits, especially under Section 404 of the Clean Water Act. Those permits regulate wetlands and waterways, the same natural veins that define Florida's geography. But with nearly 90% of Environmental Protection Agency workers furloughed, there's no one left to process those applications. Construction sites sit still. Machinery rusts in the sun. Investors pull back. Hope evaporates. The timing couldn't be worse. Florida already needs more than 100,000 new housing units just to meet current demand. That's not a luxury, that's survival. Across the nation, the shortage sits at almost 4 million homes. It would take 7 years at today's pace to catch up. And now, with permits on hold and builders losing faith, that recovery timeline stretches even further into the future. Every delayed project means more pressure, higher prices, and fewer chances for ordinary people to own a home. The domino effect doesn't stop there. The shutdown also throttled federal loans, the lifelines for countless families. Loans backed by the FHA and USDA aren't flowing. Staff in those agencies are furloughed, phones unanswered, approvals stuck in bureaucratic purgatory. Florida depends heavily on these programs. This year alone, it's received over $327 million from USDA housing programs. And in June, FHA loans in Florida reached $2.4 billion, third highest in the entire country. Now imagine that tap turned off overnight. For young families, single parents, or first-time buyers scraping together everything they have, These programs aren't optional, they're the only way in. So, when the approvals stopped, so did their dreams. Homes they'd toured, loved, and prayed for suddenly slipped away. Their realtors couldn't move the deals forward. Their lenders couldn't disperse the funds. Everything froze, leaving behind a chain reaction of disappointment that stretched from Miami to Tallahassee. Behind the numbers are people, ordinary people who believed in Florida's promise. A newly married couple in Jacksonville who saved for years, now watching their FHA-approved loan vanish into a voicemail. A small-town builder near Fort Myers forced to lay off workers because he can't get his permit processed. An elderly woman in Tampa whose flood insurance lapsed while she waited for renewal papers that never came. These stories are multiplying quietly, one life at a time. And while all this unfolds, the question echoes through every open house and empty construction lot. How long can the market hold on? Economists say the next few weeks will define everything. If Florida's markets, especially the flood-prone coastal ones, manage to survive this shutdown with just minor slowdowns, maybe the national damage will stay contained. But if closings start collapsing, if buyers lose faith, if developers pull their capital, the slowdown could ripple far beyond Florida's borders. Remember, this state alone represents nearly a quarter of its own GDP through housing. When it trembles, America feels the vibration. The deeper story here is trust. The Florida market thrives on confidence, the belief that systems will work, that loans will clear, that policies will protect, that homes will stand. Every canceled inspection, every halted loan, every delayed permit chips away at that belief. And when belief fades, markets follow. This isn't the first time Florida has danced with disaster. We've seen hurricanes tear through cities, economic crises freeze credit, and bubbles burst. But this one feels different. Because it isn't nature or speculation, it's policy paralysis. It's man-made uncertainty in a market that runs on stability. The irony is painful. A place built on sunshine now shadowed by the chill of inaction. Still, beneath the anxiety, there's something unbreakable in Florida's DNA. It's resilience, the kind that rebuilt after Andrew, Irma, and Ian. The kind that kept the construction cranes turning even during the pandemic. The kind that refuses to give up on the dream of home. But resilience has limits. Hope can't sign closing papers. Determination can't issue flood insurance. Optimism can't unlock a frozen loan. What Florida needs now isn't just spirit, it's movement, a decision, a fix. Because time, right now, is the most expensive currency on the market. Each day of delay deepens the divide between what Florida was and what it could become. Homes that should be filled with laughter are sitting in silence. Families that should be moving in are moving on. Builders who should be breaking ground are breaking down their equipment. And while officials argue in Washington, the foundations of Florida's housing confidence are quietly eroding. The story of this crisis isn't about statistics. It's about the human chain connecting every number. It's about the mortgage officer waiting for an email that won't come. The roofer whose paycheck depends on a project that can't start. The family standing outside their unsold house, realizing that the dream they reached for is now out of reach. Yet even within this chaos, there's a hidden truth, a proof that the system, however fragile, still reveals what matters most. Housing isn't just economics. It's identity. It's stability. It's the pulse of every community. When it falters, everything else trembles from local businesses to national confidence. So, where does Florida go from here? Experts believe the outcome depends on time. If the shutdown ends within weeks, the market may rebound quickly. Pending sales could surge, permits could restart, and flood policies could be renewed before hurricane season peaks. But if this stretches deeper into the year, Florida could face something much harder to fix. Not just financial loss, but emotional fatigue. People can handle high prices. They can handle storms. But uncertainty? That's what breaks them. And this moment, right now, is testing that limit. As the days pass, Floridians wake to a strange silence. No construction noise, no loan calls, no permit approvals. Just stillness. But beneath that stillness, tension builds. Because everyone knows what's at stake. This isn't just another slowdown. This is the heartbeat of Florida, stuttering. In the end, the Florida housing crisis isn't just a headline about markets or insurance programs. It's a mirror reflecting how dependent we've become on fragile systems. It's a lesson that a policy freeze in Washington can ripple through coastal neighborhoods thousands of miles away. And it's a reminder that behind every home is a human story, one that doesn't pause when politics do. Florida's story has always been about rebuilding. It will rise again. But the scars from this shutdown will linger in the concrete, in the mortgages, and in the memories of those who watched their dream homes disappear because the system simply stopped working. For now, the sun still shines over the palm trees and the empty lots. The air still smells of salt and sand. But underneath, the state is holding its breath, waiting for the sound of progress, for the papers to move, for the heartbeat of the market to return. Because Florida isn't just waiting for houses to sell. It's waiting for the dream of home to live again.